We can open it up. You got more pins than I did. I let it out.
Okay, everybody, I'm here. I'm Randy Baxter. I'm the president of Asset Positioning Services, and we're going to be talking about. We're going to look at the website a little bit today, the Family Estate Docs website, mostly in relation to the free trial, because I think there's a lot of interest in how to use the free trial. So
you may have gotten candy. Check it out.
So anyway, we're going to look at your website. We're going to come over here, and you can click on sales, and I want you to go down to the free trial for a minute. And if you just want you to look at it right now, can you turn your sound off?
It's on.
Okay. All right. You can mass distribute this in many ways. You can come up here and highlight the free trial, and you can put it in an email to a lot of people and tell them that if they're interested, they can go to the free trial and register for it. Or you can send it to an individual that you want to activate a free trial. So there's a couple of things, you can go in here and I'll go ahead and send myself one. Client first name, there's Randall Baxter. Client email, there's my home address, wrong state. Why is what's
You're gonna have to move to Wisconsin.
I'm going to have to consider that in Tennessee, and then I can come over here and put the correct zip code in, 37914. And look down here at the trial length. And what I'm going to recommend that you do, if you send somebody a free trial right now, either go to 14 days or 21 days, okay? Because if people agree to use the trial,
Time to get their stuff in.
yeah, they have time, and they to buy it and to talk to you about it, and you have time to call them, because if you really want to use the free trial appropriately and efficiently and profitably, you're going to want to use the Family Tree Asset Positioning sales presentation in conjunction with the free trial. So you can go there for a free trial for 14 days, but for some reason, I just want to tell you that maybe you ought to go to 21. That'll give them 3 weeks, and that gives them a week to make an appointment with you, and it gives a week to put the information in, and maybe a week to make a decision. If you're really good at it, you'll go down here and go to 14 days. But right now, and that's all we have to do. And then you punch over here and say activate the trial, and now it's going to process a free trial. And I'm going to get an email here in a minute that says that I've got a free trial in my email, and so I'm actually going to get 2 emails. One's going to be because I'm a licensee, and the other is because I'm a prospect. So you can see right here, it says the username Randall Baxter 818, and I talked to Frank Divers about it, and he said as soon as you send somebody the free trial, have them change the password and before they get into it, because there's a lot of hackers out there. But if you change your password, and recommend that they change it to a password formula that you can always understand, and that is the numbers on their street address and the first word in their street. So in my situation, it would be 5520 Crestwood, with no capital letters, and then no spaces. Be 5520 Crestwood, and that way, if they forget their login and their sign in and their password, you can say, well, what's your address and what's the first word in your street, and they'll type that in, and they'll be fine. So the more free, don't just mass mail a free trial out without follow up. Now we have a lot of people that somebody sent out like 200 free trials and didn't follow any of them up. But I will tell you this: a free trial conversation, if done correctly, should result in about a 38% closing rate. That's industry wide for Frank and all of his licensees. That if you just do it right. So what I'm going to be showing you here is how I think you ought to do it right. You may have a different way, but all you have to have is your website, and you want to send a free trial to somebody, but it won't do you any good just to send a free trial without contacting them and then doing what I'm about to show you. So I want to switch this over now to, be patient with me a minute. I'm going to go over to the, go ahead. Cool. That's it. Okay. So, what I'm about to show you, and you might want to take some notes, but you already know how to get to your own website and you know how to send that free trial. So using the Family Estate Docs free trial to generate a new sale should result in a long-term relationship, because that's what you're looking for. So if you'll learn this, and you need to learn this if you want to close long-term distance-related leads. Now, I have a lot of you, especially some of you folks out west, that got a lot of mileage in between houses, and you all have said, how do you do a Zoom call and how do you do a Zoom call? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you, face-to-face is more profitable and better. But if you're going to do a Zoom call, do it with the free trial. So we'll come back for questions on that here in a minute. But so when should you use the free trial? When you want to open a relationship without travel. That's it. So if you're having travel issues, this is what you want to do. So and the cool thing is you can send out 100 invitations for a free trial and then call them for a contact, and you'll get 10 appointments. If you get 10 appointments, you're going to pick up 7 estate sales. 7 times 12, that's $8,400. And then you're going to pick up some back-end sales. So this can be very, very profitable if you do it correctly. So your clients will benefit from this conversation and may trigger the purchase button in the first interview and allow you to set the stage for the back-end sale. Now, don't send it to them and don't give them any directions or don't contact them. Don't make a sale and send them the free trial and don't stay in touch with them, because they won't understand how to get it. And if they don't change their password right at first thing, they'll probably have password issues, and they'll call you and say, this thing doesn't work. It always works when it's done correctly. So all you have to do is get them to open the free trial in a Zoom call or a phone call. That's the master touch. So who qualifies for a free trial? People on your suspect list, people who have done business with you in the past, people who have attended your workshops, people or maybe didn't attend the workshop, people with an immediate need. And, if you get somebody that's got sitting on a deathbed, maybe you might need to get in there and get that done. You still have to get a notary and a witness. And people who you have approached in the past who have not purchased. These are all people. And again, you folks that are out there in California say, I want to do Zoom. I want to do Zoom. I want to do Zoom. Do it right. So let's move on here. So what you want to do is send them a free gift and let them know. And that's part of the TOMA program, that you can go to my website and learn the top of mind awareness approach. But you can use the free trial as a gift. This works well using the TOMA approach. The free trial is the gift. Tell them you think they would benefit from what they might learn from looking at the free trial. Offer to walk them through it on the phone or use a Zoom call. You can determine the length of time for the free trial, allowing you to set an appointment according to your mutual schedules. That's why I was trying to show you maybe offer them the free trial for 14 days instead of 5. I used to do the 5-day free trial, and I would send it to them on Thursday. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday was the 5th day, and I'd give them a call on Tuesday. But I think maybe extending it a little bit gives them time to make an appointment with you, if that's the way you want to make your sale. When you send them the free trial, have them change the password immediately to the numbers of their street address and the first word of their street, no spaces, no capitals. That way, you know what it is, and you can go in and help them, or even work on it on the side after you finish talking to them. Set the appointment on your calendar and send a 24-hour reminder and a 1-hour reminder and a 15-minute reminder. Okay. That way, if they show up, if they actually show up, and some of them won't, but if they actually show up, you've got an appointment to somebody that's interested. So, again, I'm just trying to show you how to do the free trial and the Zoom call. So, they're interested, they accept the invitation and change the password to your recommended password. You should get excited if they do that. or call them and help them do it. Some people will appreciate the help. The more hands-on you are, the more bonding that will occur. And it's when people bond that they buy. So anyway, the go-to sales presentation has power phrases that generate micro commitments. If you use them, they will help you close the sale. So power phrases of the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview. You've got a list of them. Rick, what chapter are they on? Is it chapter 21, 22, 20, 23?
21, 2, 3, 4.
Chapter 24. So if you're on the advanced training, spoon-fed 30-day training, you can go to that. If you're on the fast track, you can go to those same chapters, chapter 21, 22, 23, 24. But it tells you what to say and when to say it. And it works in person, it works on the phone, it works on a Zoom call. So I need to ask you the question, are you in training or in coaching? Coaching those with a knowledge base or training those who want to start the transformation. But I'll be honest with you, if you actually are considering doing this, you will find it to be successful if you implement and if you emulate. Those folks of you that are out there switching things around and changing things, I don't know why you would turn a sure thing into a laboratory. Just follow the program. It works. So how do you start the opening statement? So you're going to call them, you're going to get them on the free trial, and remember, it's important that you're in control of the interview. You set the stage. So that's why if you have their email address, go ahead and email them the agenda, and say you might want to even 10 or 15 minutes before print off the agenda so that you'll know how to follow it. So you send your prospect the agenda, do this, and you're on your way to success. If they've got that agenda, they know they know where you're going. So now you've sent them the free trial, you've got them on the phone, you've got them with the agenda. So you need to have some opening remarks, and you already know the opening remarks. I appreciate the time you have allowed for us to discuss your current estate plan. As I told you earlier, when we made the appointment, you may learn something you were not aware of in your current estate plan. Be a better advisor because I can better understand your family dynamics. And before we get into the free trial, we're going to review the structure of your family tree to see how it can be used to best make decisions about who should be involved in the estate planning process. And they're going to go, okay. Promise you, they'll say, okay. So you're setting the stage for something your prospect can be proud of. Your leadership is the key factor. You need to be in control of the interview. Your use of the power phrases and the agenda make it easy. So if you want, go ahead and pull up those power phrases and learn them. Learn where they go in the sales presentation. So now you're just going to draw the family tree, and that means that they need to have a blank piece of paper. Or you can use a whiteboard on your Zoom call if you've got whiteboard capacity, and you can draw it for them. Have your prospect on a blank piece of paper draw a circle the size of a quarter, and they'll kind of giggle. Why are you doing that? You do the same on a piece of paper. Oh, there should be a P in there. Anyway, follow the agenda leads to following the agenda leads to the sale. That's all you got to remember. So use your visuals, follow the agenda. Using a blank sheet of paper or a whiteboard on a Zoom call is important. You want the couple or the individual to be focused, and you want to be in control of the interview. If you're not in control, you're out of luck. After drawing a family tree, now remember they're on this free trial. They've drawn their family tree. It is time to explain the estate plan in reverse. You want to establish a long-term relationship. And if you explain it in reverse, they're going to appreciate the fact that you took the time to make it so easy, make them understand that it's so easy to do. But first, by understanding the current plan, they're going to be more receptive to the plan you recommend if they understand the plan they have. So you want to restate the current plan for them, and you want to ask the discovery questions that set the stage for the transformation. And folks, it is a transformation. Be aware. When drawing a family tree, go in all directions, vertical or in horizontally. Be thorough. Go as many find out how many generations exist in their family. It might be great grandparents, great grandparents, grandparents, parents, children. In most cases, you will not go beyond great grandparents and your great grandchildren, but be sure you locate all active family members and discuss each one. And I'll be honest with you, the other day I found we're going to go see one Thursday. One of the trustees is the daughter of the co-worker of Lee Iacocca. You know, and that means that there's some money there because they mentioned that they were going to inherit some money when their grandfather died, and that he was involved in the formation of the Chrysler Corporation. So, and she was proud to talk about it. So anyway, each circle in the family tree should have a first name, a last name, and a birthday. You'll also want to know where these people live, including the state. You want to make a note. I'm sorry, N-O-T. That's supposed to say note. You want to make a note concerning the status of the relationship and the interdependence, and if there are any disabilities. Now, can you see how deep you are into this person's life? Just about 10 minutes into the presentation. So, what you want to do is be sure that you let the prospect talk about each family member. You are looking for relationship changes, asset changes, and health changes, but do not dive in too deep, not yet. So, ask if there's anyone who's been left out or estranged for any reason. You want to find that out. And if they answer the question, you know that they're really, really involved in what's going on. So they're going to take the time to tell you what kind of person that person is that's estranged from the family. And ask about any drug use or any disabilities or money issues. You need to know. So just let them talk. The more they volunteer, the more micro commitments you can get. And you want them to talk. Give them a chance. And I'll be honest with you, when I see the people I'm talking to turn to each other and start talking, I know I'm hitting home. So now go to the part 1, page 1 of the confidential. Ask them about their current estate plan by asking the questions in the order they appear. You don't have to memorize it. It's right there, it's right there for you. Just follow it. Now they may not have the confidential. You do. But you can ask them to take notes, or you can email them the confidential if you want to. But now is the time to explain the estate planning process in reverse. Do it in reverse. Make a note. Do it in reverse. As the leader of the conversation, you have to get your prospects into the proper mindset. They have to acknowledge you want them in a coma or a vegetative state. It is important to get them serious about who they would choose to represent them in that situation. Once they start talking to you, they're in the middle of doing their estate plan with you. So in most cases, the answer to your questions are on the family tree chart. And I tell people all the time, that's when people start putting their finger in those circles. I'm telling you about those people. So now is the time to go to the free trial. If you want to go refer back to it, take them to the interview and help them complete each answer. Help them with the answers. If they do not understand the question, don't interpret the question. Have them click on the blue circle with the question mark and read the statement, or have them read it. So if you click on that blue circle, you're guaranteed not to be practicing law. Just read them the question. So well, I skipped one. Let them represent them in, who would they want to represent them in a medical situation? Who would be their successor? Let them talk. Help them enter that name in the yellow button section of the data collection part on the application. That's where you just show them. You go over back to the interview. and you click on that yellow button and say, this is where you would put your son's name or your grandson's name because you want them to be your power of attorney. Just put their name in there and we'll show you how to get there in a minute. They want help. And the more they see how easy it is, the less you'll have to help them. So now you have to change the mindset a little bit. You want to take them from the power of attorney for healthcare to the financial power of attorney, and you want to explain it to them. And they are not going to be in vegetative forever, but will go a few months physically disabled. The question is, who would be your POA for a finance and who would be their successor? Enter that name in the yellow button section. The same would be true for the executor of their estate. They would want the first and second successors. Their names need to go in the yellow section of the software. Now take the time to explain the roles of people in a revocable trust. Start with the trustor. And I don't have to go into the sales presentation there. You all have a copy of the sales presentation, but start with the trustors, who are the owners and the only people who can make changes, and just explain it to them. Then move on to describe the trustees, i.e. the managers. They cannot change the trust. The trustors, and people ask me that all the time. They say, can the trustees change the trust? The answer is no. They have to follow what's written. The trustors can remove the trustees at any time, or if they die, if they cannot make decisions due to medical reasons approved by their doctor and one other physician, or a judge rules that they cannot serve, or if they resign. Those four things happen. Sometimes those four things could happen to the same trustee all the way. They might die. Their doctors might say they're incompetent. A judge might rule against them, or they might resign. I have lots of trusts where the trustors are no longer the trustees. It's going to happen to everybody. So now it's time to talk about distributions in the trust. And there's a section on there that you can walk them through it and let them fill it out. In most cases, it is a surviving spouse, 100%. Matter of fact, I'm going Saturday afternoon to my friend who passed away, and she asked me the question, am I 100% beneficiary of these assets? And I said, yes. And she said, can I make some changes in how they're distributed? And since John didn't put any requirements on it, then yes, she can make some changes if she wants to. She's 100% beneficiary. Everything there belongs to her. Then the siblings equally, but this is not always true. Let them talk. Remember when you asked about the relationship changes, or is there any drug use or poor money decisions or loans? This is the time to discuss those issues, but don't try to close them. You just want to have a conversation. Now, go to part 2 of page 1 and ask about the real estate mortgages and where the real estate is located. Be specific, especially if the real estate is in a different county or state. Don't try to close. And I'm sorry about some of the typos. It was early this morning. Explain to your prospects that attorneys charge between $2,995 and $4,995 for estate plans, and in many cases, do not do the proper funding interview you're about to have with them. Go ahead and bring, that's an elephant in the room. Go ahead and bring it up. Explain that your clients can have attorney-written estate plans with unlimited lifetime changes for $1,995. Get that number in, because when you ask them to buy, you won't have to repeat it. Get it in before you ask them to buy. Don't ask them to buy. Just tell them how much it costs. So anyway, explain the EULA, which is the end user agreement, that they will own the website and can access it using their login and password. In most cases, no need for future legal expenses, that we keep attorneys available to answer questions in case the relationship changes, asset changes, health changes, but in most cases, they won't be needed. You already have the rest of the information on page 1. You can fill it out later or use this time to gather more complete data. Your prospect is now heavily involved in the process and is recording their trust decisions on the website. So now it's the time for the reviews on page 2. You have your prospect communicating and opening up. Remember now, page 2 is where you as a licensee will make the most money. Page 2 of the confidential. The purpose of page 2 is to establish long-term care plans and to introduce the proper funding of their current estate plan and to find out how it is funding and what is the current health situation of the people you're talking to. First question on page 2 concerns the prospect's current long-term care strategy. And remember, don't go into a long-term care presentation right then. It is not a closing opportunity, just a fact finder to establish what this person has done, how far in the planning process of the later stages of life that they have actually taken. All you want is a yes or no. I have made plans or I haven't made plans. That's it. All you're doing is exposing in a soft and easy way their current mindset and awareness. They will look at each other as they answer, just move on, do not dwell. So now's the time to review the income status for all people involved in the estate plan. You will either be talking to working people, pre-retirees, or retirees. Working couples will have jobs, savings, and possibly older 401k plans, not PANs, 401k plans from former employers. Products here may be disability, long-term care, life insurance, and income annuities, but do not go into that right now. That is for the second interview. If you want to do it right, do it this way. If they're 59 and a half, you are in the good timing spot in the process. Pre-retirees will want to discuss their plans in the next 5 or so years. They will have opinions and issues, and they will offer as micro commitments if you handle this correctly. Listen to what they have to say. If they are already retired, their biggest fear is that they might run out of money. You can take that to the bank, folks. That's their biggest fear. Do not blow the sale by trying to close them too early. You have not properly established the scenario. You have more work to do. So do it right. Explain the difference between income tied to assets and income not tied to assets. They will be so interested in that. Most retirees will be basing their income on income not tied to assets like Social Security and pensions. First thing you want to discuss is the possibility of an income gap. And they're looking right there at it. You're just talking about it. And you've kind of drifted off a little bit from the software, but that's okay because you're going to take them right back into the software here in a minute. An income gap is when there's not enough income from income not tied to assets to meet the monthly budget. A gap has to be solved by cutting expenses, getting a part-time job, or using assets. A gap can be funded with assets in a sure thing or a maybe situation. A maybe is if the asset's fluctuating in value every day. I don't know if y'all listened to the stock market yesterday, but it had a 10% drop in value. A sure thing will not run out for the rest of their life. So it's a different set of products. And they're not going to spend their money. They're just going to move it across the street. So, you want to prove a point. Is their retirement funded with a maybe? Assets at market risk or assets that might run out due to longevity risk or inflation or unexpected expenses? Plant the seed. Wait, you don't know that yet, but you want to accomplish its existence, acknowledge its existence before you discover the sources. You want your prospect, and remember now, you're on page 2, not page 3. You're going to discover the sources if you do a proper review of the ballparks on page 3. You want your prospects to acknowledge that they know the difference before they give you the information you need from page 3. Do not go to page 3 yet. You have more work to do. So you need to explain the difference between the gap and the cliff. And some will understand it, but the more you explain it, the better off you're going to be. Usually a death or illness that either lowers income not tied to assets or increased pressure by increasing costs when income cannot be raised. Those are your cliffs. And you need to explain them. You need to be good at explaining them. Now is a good time to refer back to their LTC answers. Remember now, you've already talked to them about long-term care. You've already planted that seed. Now you're talking to them about how to fund that long-term care if they don't have it properly funded. And remember now, they've already told you whether they have discussed it or not. Cliffs in most cases will be serviced or not serviced by their answers about long-term care. Do not dwell on it. You're going to come back and review it here in a little bit. Go to the bottom of page 2. make the statement on the next page. Remember now, the bottom of page 2, that's the health questions. And remember what we talked about? You've got them on the online. You've already talked about their long-term care. You've talked about their income and how a health illness might affect it. So now you're going to go to the bottom. And folks, I'm a firm believer that your current health conditions are primary factors in your investment decisions. Would you agree? And just stop and let them agree. Get their permission to ask some broad medical questions. The reason? Because it will help you be a better advisor if you understand these health factors. I've worked with licensees in the past, and they've shown me the confidential, and the health questions are blank. How are you going to be a proper advisor if you don't know that one of them's got a heart problem or one of them's had a cancer or a stroke? So, ask the knockout questions of that, and those are not knockout questions. If you look at the confidential, it's just a simplified underwriting life insurance application. The knockout questions or a Medicare supplement application that gets the broad questions. By doing this, you will discover, listen to what I'm about to say here. By doing this, you will discover who might be closer to the cliff than the other. Now is a good time to acknowledge the cliff factor. It doesn't bother me a bit to look at one and say, hey, Bobby Joe, you're a little closer to the cliff than Billy Bob is, aren't you? And the sick one will acknowledge it publicly, and the healthy one will shake their head in agreement. Those folks are involved in this process. If you do that, it is a wake-up call and helps you with page 3 of the confidential. And some people aren't doing a very good job with page 3 of the confidential. You don't have to have it accurate. That's why I just say, ask for ballparks. So remember now, they've got their webpage open. Go to page 3 and ask for ballpark numbers in each product category. Be casual. You may find the funding vehicles for the gaps and cliffs already exist, but are not properly designed. Remember, some are sure things, and most will be maybes. Do not dwell. It is now time to go for the close of the estate plan, not the product sales, but for the estate plan. You've earned it. Review page 3 with the client. Do they have the proper paperwork? Yeah, and there I teach you in the script, hey, you've done a real good job with your assets. Don't you think you need to have the right paperwork? Refer back to page 1, part 1, concerning their answers. Do they need to make any changes? You've already reviewed the cost. They know you need $1,995. That's why you want to say it. You want to tell them what the price is before you ask them to buy. They know what it is. And you also know if you've done a proper page 3, whether they can afford it or not. So, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, you have done well with your assets. Did you learn anything about your current estate plan that you did not know before we engaged in this process? Let's go back to the free trial and look at the rest of the buttons in the interview. Walk them through those buttons. And when they click on the button, the page is going to come up. And you can help them with the answers right then because you already know a lot about them. The reason most people do not have estate plans that they are happy with is because they have not had the opportunity to engage in this process properly. We discovered a few minutes ago that you are unhappy with your current plan. Don't you think we should take care of that before we do anything else? And let them say yes or no. I can have your estate plan complete this time next week for your review. Can we start there and get that done? They'll say yes or no. Very few will say, let me think about it. How are they going to say, let me think about it in front of their spouse when the spouse has already acknowledged that they've got some health problems and they don't have any proper plans? All we need to do is implement the next steps by pressing the purchase button and have your estate set up the way we discussed it. Are there any changes you would make to having blank, say Bobby Joe is your power of attorney for healthcare, and you've got it all right there in front of you. Billy Bob for the power of attorney for finances, or Billy Bob for your executors. All you need is to enter your credit card to be ready for pickup or delivery 1 week from today. And let them answer. Even if they say maybe, or that they want some time to think about it, that's why you go ahead and issue the 14-day or the 21-day free trial. You don't want it to run out. So if they answered honestly and have the assets established and no current health plan, they will reach in their wallet and get this done. And it sets the stage for the back end sale. Okay, so that's where I'll stop right there and I'll say, look, Mr. and Miss Prospect, when you come in next week to pick up your estate plan, I have some ideas from your page 2 and 3 that will make your estate plan properly funded. I need to do some research and run some numbers. When you come in next week, would you like to see your numbers? That's when you come in, sorry, there should be an end there. But you want to ask the question, when you come in next week, would you like to see your numbers? It's a direct question. And you know what happens after that? You have an estate plan sale. And you set the appointment for the delivery interview. And especially if distance will be an issue. Now, if it's going to be an issue, you're going to have to print it off and ship it to them and get a notary to go. It's just kind of whatever your whatever the situation involves. But you can make an estate plan sale on a Zoom call with your free trial. And I'll be honest with you, I think if you issued 100 free trials and followed up on every one of them, you'd probably be writing 2 or 3 estate plans a week. That's $3,600 times 4. That's $12,000. That's about $14,000 a week income, not counting your back end sales. So you just have to be dedicated to it if that's the way you want to do it. And I've heard a lot of you say we want to make the Zoom call sale. Use the free trial. So that's all I want to say about that. You want to go back and ask some questions? Anybody there want to ask some questions? How about Lisa?
Randall, Susan had a question in the chat.
Okay.
She said, if I would like a POA for running my business, if I should become disabled or unable to run the business, including death, how do I add that to my trust? So I think it's a power of attorney.
Well, your power of attorney would be for your business or your personal. And I will tell you what we do when we run into situations that need an amendment, or to need a special provision. Estate Docs Pro will do those special provisions for you for $200. So if somebody comes back and says, I need a different power of attorney for my business than for my personal life, then you'll have to come up with two different powers of attorney. Unless you want the one person to be in charge of your personal and business. So we can do that as an amendment, or you can refer them to your local friendly attorney. Next question.
Nothing more in the chat.
Really? Well, what? Yeah. I'm here if you have any questions.
I do. So
Okay, go ahead.
the restatement is just basically taking their existing trust and bringing it over to us. Is that?
Well, they're going to bring it over
statement
to us, and Cynthia, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your software, and they may have an existing trust and on the Zoom call. All you have to do when you sell it to them after you get their credit card approved, and you can charge them whatever price you want, anywhere from $695 to $1995. Just put in the original name of the trust. Don't change it at all, and put in the original date of the trust. That's all you have to do, and then you can restate it and by answering the questions. But then you need to notify me so that I can have Frank. The trust has to say that it is a restatement. That means you don't have to change the deeds or anything like that. So you can go in and do a restatement on a Zoom call by putting in the original name of the original trust and the original date of that same trust, and then notify us that it's a restatement. We'll see to it that when you print it off, that it has a sentence underneath it that is a restatement of that trust. It's that easy. Does that answer your question, Cynthia?
Where would that statement go on it?
It's right under the title. It's
Okay,
just, they have to flip a little button, there in Phoenix to have that sentence printed out under the title of the trust. So you have to let us know. You can't just print the trust out because it won't say it's a restatement.
got you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. And again, that can be done on a Zoom call. You know, those of you who have pushed and pushed and pushed and said, show us how to do a Zoom call, this is the way to do it. Are there any other questions? Surely there's one or two out there. I'll give it another minute before I sign off. But if you're thinking about, if you have a question on how to do a Zoom call and how to do the free trial, and remember, 38% on a national average of the people who do the free trial make the purchase right then. They won't do it if you just send them the free trial, but they will do it if you'll call them and follow up and help them answer the questions as you go along. So,
Why would a person want a trust restated?
why would a person want to trust restated? Because they had a relationship change or an asset change or a health change. They may have moved from California to Alabama. They may want their trust to have the Alabama wording instead of California wording. They may have had a divorce, or they may have had a death in the family. They may have sold a house and wanted to redistribute the assets from their $800,000 house to their $300,000 house. They might want to decide what to do with that $500,000. So anytime people's lives change, it's a good idea to do a restatement of their existing trust. And the selling point is come on into the family, and after you join the family, you won't ever have to, if you want to make another change, it won't cost you anything, because all you'll have to do is use your sign in, your login, and your password. Does that answer your question there, Ed?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, okay, I'm still struggling with the other word,
The restatement?
that you pay the $200 for,
Oh, that's an amendment.
the amendment.
Okay, so you can have an amendment, which is you might just go in and change one paragraph of the trust. That's an amendment.
Oh, okay.
A restatement, you're restating the whole trust. We do restatements. If you want an amendment, you have to have an attorney do it, because you got to remember, you're practicing law if you claim to be an attorney, and you're practicing law if you write the document. But you don't do either one of those when you use attorney written software that uses decision tree programming like Family Estate Docs. You're
So
just answering the questions.
So if they're changing the language,
Yeah.
technically, that's when they need to get an attorney.
They're changing the language. That's an amendment. If you're changing the whole trust, the wording of the whole trust by state, or that's a restatement. You're printing out the whole trust. You're not just changing the amendment. You're changing the whole trust, and it's the restatements that are the big advantage in what we do. And it's always better to do a restatement than an amendment, because if you do 10 amendments, you've got a whole bunch of codicils and attachments to the trust that can be confusing. Just do a restatement.
Okay.
You can do it, Cynthia. What else is out there? Felicia, got any questions?
Randall, there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
Felicia asks, hi, Randall. I'm just curious if we do have a video of a workshop from beginning to end. Thanks.
I have the PowerPoints that are done by me. You would have to go in and modify it to fit you. But if you'll send either me or Greg your email, we'll send you the PowerPoint. But my PowerPoint uses me. You can go in and just change those pages to make it fit you. Does that make sense? And we're having really good success with the workshops.
Can you send it to everybody?
Well,
I would like to have it anyway.
we can send it to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, Greg's saying yeah.
More recently, the one that I've got requires a Google share, so I need
But, I want to say yes, but you folks that ask for things and don't use them, if you want me to send it to you, try using it. and you'll find out that you can generate a pretty nice income with the things we send you. So, if you specifically want to talk about a workshop, send me an email. We will try and get one out by the end of the week that'll have the PowerPoint for the workshops. And remember now, Jeff Mills will do them for $3,500. We work today on a new system called Exact Prospect, where we might be able to set you up with 10,000 names in your area for a whole lot less than $3,500. You might be looking at total cost of $500 to have 10,000 approaches. So stay tuned. That's probably going to happen before Labor Day.
That
Yeah,
would work.
Cynthia, I'll send it to you. But if you're also, I'm going to be in Baltimore the third week of October. I'm going to be doing another boot camp. So if you're up in the Baltimore area and you want to learn to do the boot camp, there's another program that we're going to be starting September 1, and it's called Each One, Reach One, Teach One. And what we want you to do is, if you are working with another financial services rep who wants to learn to do estate planning, introduce them to either Greg or myself or Wynn or whoever, and we'll get them set up. But what we're wanting to do is go real heavy into the Baltimore, Northern Virginia area and bring some new licensees in. So if you can get to Baltimore, you don't have to be from the Baltimore area. You can be from California and come to Baltimore. But pay attention when you see the email, Each One, Reach One, Teach One.
So I plan on going to that. That's my home. So
Good. I want you there, Cynthia.
and I
want you
probably
to-
bring my daughter. She's very interested in this.
Good.
And she just
be
became a
sure.
nurse practitioner, so
Okay.
she's looking
All
forward
right,
to
so,
doing
so
it.
she can attend the workshop, but she would not. The workshop is always in conjunction with the Simplicity trainings. I do the workshops on Tuesday, and then we do the Simplicity trainings on Wednesday and Thursday. But only licensed people can attend Wednesday and Thursday, but she could attend the workshop.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
Then Felicia also asked in the chat, she was curious if we have other one-on-one videos of people doing this one-on-one. So I've just put a link in the chat of that webinar when we did the go to first interview video.
With Greg and Gwen.
Yes.
Okay. And then Felicia, you can also go to the script, lesson 23. It's got the script verbatim. And then you go to lesson 24, it's got all the power phrases. And if you just sit and watch that video and learn those lessons, the only way you're really going to get good at it is get in there and try and do it. You know, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So do I?
Bumble through it.
Yeah, that's right. Wynn says fumble through it. You'd be surprised how many times I fumbled through it before I learned how to do it. And now I don't need the script. I can do it on a napkin, but only because I've done it so many times. And I'll be honest with you, if you'll just go out there and do it, Felicia, you'll start writing estate plans, and you'll start funding estate plans. You'll start tripping over $15,000 and $20,000 commissions. But to do it, you got to get your nose busted a couple of times. You got to go in there and try to do it and not be. But you know what? The people you're doing it with, they don't know if you mess it up. Remember, I've told you all along, you just have to be one step ahead of the person you're talking to. That's all. Any other questions out there?
There's just Eddie in the chat asked Cynthia to please call him, and his number's in there, Cynthia, in the chat for you.
I'm sorry.
I see it. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Let me say thank you to you. The first time you go out there and write a nice case, you know, they're out there. And you know, I had somebody the other day say, I don't know enough people. And you know, the average person knows 600 people.
But
And out of those 600 people, do what?
I did meet with the colonel that had the special needs son and his
Okay.
wife. And so we're having our second interview on the 16th. And I went to a situation a couple of days ago, and I ran into an old boss. She was, when I was working in the school, she was the principal, and she's retired now. She said to me when she found out what I did, she says, I have money. I don't know what to do with it. I said, let's set up an appointment. I have a plan that I can work with you on. So,
Okay, and you want to be sure that you do the income gaps and cliffs,
right.
and the plan will form itself. And then you can go to Mike Bemis and you can say, Mike, here's our gaps and cliffs. Here's the health situation. How can we best help these people guarantee that they don't have a loss of income in their current health situation? That's why people buy. That's what they buy. Is they look at it and they realize that their current plan doesn't meet the needs of the situation that you've shown them. And once you show them that it's their numbers and not yours, they'll say, well, we need to move this here and move that there and make it happen, right? And then you say yes, and you write a $250,000 sale. That's how it goes down, but to be honest with you, if you can't put yourself in the position where that decision has to be made, you're never going to be happy with what you're doing, because you got to get a couple of those $20,000 and $25,000 commissions before you realize that this is something you should have been doing for a long, long time. Anything else?
Then Tony said, hey, Randy, if you need a test market on that $500 for 10K suspects, I volunteer Sumner, Robertson County, and Northern Davidson County.
We are working on it, and Lisa, you and I, we discussed that today with Exact Prospect.
Yes.
And Tony, yes, we're going to have it. I think probably 500 is probably fair to get you 10,000 names, and we'll have the emails ready for you, and it'll be a drip system. And all you'll have to do is, I think at the end, maybe on the email number 4 or number 5, is send them a free trial and call them. So, Greg, you're looking at me funny. Is that not right?
I couldn't figure out who asked the question.
Oh, that was Tony Sheets.
Okay.
Okay,
Like
so
I said, be happy to be your guinea pig.
okay.
But here's another question.
Okay.
Happen to be in it's like a person that I know from church that is he sells pre-needs for the largest funeral home here in town.
Okay.
What would be a good way of working with him to try to actually maybe tap into his suspects?
Well, let me ask you a question. Where do you think he gets his pre-need leads from?
I do not know where he's getting them from.
Well, let me tell you where he gets it from. They look and see who just wrote him a check for a funeral, and they call on the surviving spouse.
Okay.
Well, that's a relationship change, right?
Right.
And it might be an asset change because they're about to receive a life insurance policy, probably.
They just paid for a funeral.
Or they've just paid for a funeral, and they may have a health problem. The funeral homes are sitting on such a huge gold mine that they're so busy trying to get the surviving spouse to buy a funeral from them, they forget they're walking away from probably hundreds of thousands of dollars and complete estate plans. So take him to lunch, talk to him. Offer, that's each one, reach one, teach one. He may want to be a licensee with you. They may not want him to do the estate plan. He can give you the lead, and you can give him a 1099 at the end of the year for what he does. And I promise you that there's just as many wealthy people dying percentage wise as there are poor people. And that people all the time say, when my wife died, I bought a pre-need policy. I gave him $10,000 or $8,000. When my sister passed away about a year and a half ago, the pre-need people came and wanted to talk about that, and they never did ask anything about my sister's estate, which was in the millions. Never said a word. They didn't know. Yeah, work with the guy. You you don't even have to tell him all your secrets. But you might want to, because he might say, hey, we need to work together on this, because he may be a captive agent. Does that make sense?
I know he's a 1099 employee of the funeral home.
Okay.
You know,
All right. So he's an independent producer, which means that
or
he could be
excuse
an
me, I'm sorry,
independent.
he's a W-4 employee of the nursing of the funeral home. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Well, it doesn't matter. What matters is something he needs to know. He may not have time to do it because he's so busy selling the pre-needs. I mean, it's an excellent source of referrals. Excellent source. Anybody that went, any of you licensees that are out there, go call on a funeral home and show them what we do. And you probably pick up a really nice client.
So then the best thing to do would just be to prospect him for himself and his wife, and then follow up from there, or actually try to go for the referral source first.
Well, that's up to you, but I would say, if his name's Bob, say, hey, Bob, I think you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan, and you might benefit more from your clients. I'll always go back to the same approach.
Exactly.
Always.
Well, right. Yeah. Okay.
So, and if you're not happy with your income, do your approach more times, because that's what will change your income. What changes mine? Sometimes I do it too often. I get too busy. Old guys get tired. So you don't want to be really good at your approach and really good at your marketing unless you have the energy to get it all done. And if you have that energy, all you need to do is increase the number of times you make the approach. Folks, it's a secret formula. Nobody's supposed to know it. You know it. What else we got?
Then Felicia asked in the chat, Randall, is it okay to speak to someone right away after their loved one has passed, or give them a bit of time first? Thanks.
Well, one of the things on the free trial, sometimes people need help right then. And it's always okay to say, I know you're upset right now, but soon you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current plan. Don't call them up 30 minutes after someone dies, but at the same time, 30 minutes after someone dies is when they might be, you just have to use your judgment. You don't have to wait till somebody dies, but you might want to know if somebody's sick and going into a nursing home. You might want to know all those things. That's a health change. Anytime there's a death is a relationship change. A death usually relates to some kind of asset change. A death may be related to a spousal health change at the same time. It could be one dies, another one's sick. So if you just approach the 600 people you're going to find wealth, you're going to find poverty, you're going to find health, sicknesses, you're going to find people getting ready to sell their house, you're going to find people going through a divorce, you're going to find all kinds of things, and they need your help and they don't even know it, and you do know it. Get in touch with them. What else we got?
Nothing more in the chat.
Oh, come on, one more and I'll go. Somebody's out there, one more. I will tell you that Jeff Mills, I talked to Jeff Mills yesterday, and he said that you folks are booking workshops left and right, and workshops are profitable. I think, Greg, what did you do in yours? You sold 5 or 6 in your first workshop so far in 4 weeks. 5 or 6 times 1,200 is somewhere between $6,000 and $7,200. And remember now, that's just the front end. What else we got? I've had a long day. I can quit right now unless you got one more question. I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds. I'm going to say bye. But it's okay. I'll hang around if you got one more question.